everyone, welcome back to my channel. This week is going to be a very casual sit-down chat where I basically fill you in on everything that's going on in my life at the moment, things that kind of I learned in 2021. I thought I'd do a bit of a reflection on last year, now that it is February 1st when I'm filming this video, and January is over, thank God. It felt like 2 months in one, and yeah, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown on what I learned in 2021, what kind of year it was for me, and what it means going into 2022 with my new wisdom and goals, etc. So I'm gonna go do my makeup because it is content day, which means I have reels to do, photos to take, jobs to do. So go make your cup of tea and I'll go do my makeup, and I will catch you back here in a few minutes. It might one day be too late to change, so do it now and don't wait for the perfect time. So I have done my makeup, my hair, and I am ready to sit down and share-roll or bear-roll, whatever they say. So basically this is just a bit of a chat, a bit of a catch-up on 2021, which for those of you who follow me here and on Instagram will know that in 2021 I got to marry the love of my life twice. We had our civil ceremony here in Dublin in July, and then we had our dream big fat Greek wedding in Greece in September, and by some stroke of luck we managed to, unlike 99% of the people I know that got married during COVID, we got to have our dream wedding abroad with 110 people. Everyone that we wanted there was there, bar a few that couldn't come, not even due to COVID, but just due to other things in their life. And we didn't have to change the date, none of that stuff. It all just went almost very smoothly. But yeah, it was by far the best experience of my life. It was literally a dream come true. It was a fairy tale. It was everything and more that I ever imagined. And my video is coming soon. I think I'm gonna put it up because we got it, and I think I'm gonna put it up on Valentine's Day for you guys. So yeah, you can stay tuned for that and click subscribe if you want to be notified when it gets put up. But alongside 2021 being like one of the best years of my life, obviously because I got to marry Connor, it was one of the toughest as well. There was just a lot of change. There was a lot of time to reflect. Unlike my usual change that I usually thrive off, I'm that kind of person that loves to be challenged. I love change, I love new beginnings, and I love to be uncomfortable. I almost thrive off that adrenaline that comes with that uncertainty. But this was really different. Like, there'll be a few things that I'm going to touch on in this video. And this change was a really slow transition, which I'm not really used to. And it was something that unnerved me and was quite new to me. And in that slowness, there was very little places to hide. It was very raw, and you could feel every little hiccup and bump in the road because it was so slow. And it was a new type of change for me that I've never experienced before, and there were just things in my life that I was experiencing for the first time. There were things that I was just forced to acknowledge and be really honest with myself, because it was just backing myself into, or pushing myself into a corner where I was so miserable and so unhappy in some places in my life, and I was forced to stop hiding and be honest and make changes where I previously just wasn't ready to. So the first thing that I think I will talk about is, because I just recently did a Q&A on Instagram, and one of the questions was, what would you tell yourself in your 20s? Or what wisdom would you share with yourself in your 20s? And food has been something for me that has, since social media, I'm gonna be honest. I remember specifically almost where I was when the first time I compared myself to my friends and their bodies. I was pretty confident growing up. I didn't have like, I wasn't super lean or I wasn't naturally skinny, but I didn't care. I was pretty confident in how I looked, and I loved food. Me and my friends were big foodies, and all of our chat was about our food. All of our social lives were about where we were going to eat and what we were going to eat. And it wasn't until Facebook or Bebo, was it even Bebo, where I got to see photos of myself, like got to really sit down and scroll through photos of myself and see myself compared to other people. And it was the first time I noticed, oh, my body is really different to theirs, or wow, they have like really skinny arms, and God, that angle doesn't look very good. And it was just the first time that I realized that maybe I didn't like the way I looked, and maybe I shouldn't like the way I looked, and maybe I should try to be better or look better. Anyway, basically since then, which was, I think I was 19, was when I started to, well, back then I was completely starving myself. I had a really, really unhealthy relationship with food after that, and it has basically continued since then. Over the years it's fluctuated between binging and putting on lots of weight, and then starving myself and losing lots of weight. And this year, because of personal things in my life, I was forced to really acknowledge the effect that my relationship with food and my anxiety around food was having physically on my body and on my mental state. So I personally think that when you've had some sort of eating disorder or disordered eating, it's kind of a lifelong journey to holding yourself accountable. And I kind of think that with all things in your life, I've had kind of like eureka moments, so many of them, so many times where things are going well and I feel like I've got a grip on how to create peace and how not to react by eating or overeating or emotional eating. And it's when things are all going well that you think that you've got everything sorted, and then something will happen in your life, and it's in those moments where you're really challenged to put all that you've learned into action. And that's where the kind of roller coaster of having eureka moments and knowing that it's okay, that it's not going to be constantly balanced, and you're not always going to have the answers, and you're not always going to feel like you have the energy to evaluate a certain situation and not reach for that chocolate bar or whatever it is. And there are going to be days where you judge your body, and days where you feel uncomfortable in your body, and days where you even wish your body looked differently. And this year for me, I think I learned to know that it's okay. That it's okay for me to not all the time love my body. It's okay for me to sometimes feel anxious about food. That there will be times where I slip, where I don't have the strength to be mindful, or to not emotionally eat, or to not judge my body, and that's okay. But as long as most of the time I feel, or I can remind myself to be grateful for my body and all that it does, that I can reroute and recenter my mind toward thinking about that when maybe my old self is coming in and thinks, no, don't go out for that dinner this weekend because you will probably end up eating more than you should, or don't go to that event because you won't have any control over the food that's there. Even though I have those thoughts, I am now better at being compassionate toward my older self and saying it's okay that you think like that, but actually, what are you giving up or refocusing toward what you're actually giving up in order to look a certain way or eat a certain way, that I am now able to kind of reroute my mind toward thinking, actually what's important to me is that I get my period every month, that my body has a certain amount of fat for that to happen, that I get to go to brunch with my friends at the weekend, and if that means that I'm at brunch at the weekend on a Saturday and a Sunday and going out for dinner on Saturday night with Connor, and it's maybe way more than my previous self would have liked to be eating out or being out of control, that I believe now that it's worth it, whereas back then I didn't. I couldn't see that looking a certain way wasn't important, or wasn't as important as feeling happiness and creating memories with your friends. Or I was even back then willing to forego my period or my health just to look a certain way. And now I do not and will not do that. So it's important, where this year I have realized that even though there's still that voice, and maybe that voice will always be there, that I am strong enough now, even if I slip up sometimes, to predominantly believe that my happiness, my social life, my health is all way more important than how I look. And that actually has been less of a eureka moment, where previously I would have probably over the years, even when I was in the depths of my disordered eating, I would have had those eureka moments, but they were brief. Whereas now it's kind of a consistent mindset and a consistent realization and a consistent belief and lifestyle that I have chosen. And it's more so those eureka moments are replaced by those slips, or those moments of weakness where maybe I judge myself, or I go back to my old self or my old way of thinking. And now it's flipped so that I'm in a better place overall. And those little peaks of weakness are few and far between. So another thing that changed drastically this year was my self-belief. So I was actually discussing with my two friends on Saturday night about my vision board, and like how, like, you won't even believe, I'll have to do a bit of a catch up on that as well. The things that I put on my vision board at the beginning of this month, and already how many of them have literally just come into fruition and charged into my life, and it's just been a whirlwind, insane. But it has taken me so long to get to this place where I truly believed in everything I put on that vision board, and I truly believed that it would all happen. And it's really, really hard. And let me be the person who tells you that it is possible to believe in yourself, but it is super difficult in getting there. So I really want to share maybe a few little nuggets of wisdom, hopefully, because I, for so long, was capable of so much more, and I knew it, and I was miserable because I kept safe in my little box where I didn't try. And no matter how hard Connor tried to give me the belief he had in me and transfer it or inspire me to be more motivated or feel more inspired or believe in myself more, I literally just couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. I don't know where it came from, because growing up my mom literally told me I could do anything I wanted always. I'm not going to get into a therapy session with myself now, but I would just like to touch on how I think I managed to start believing in myself, because my friend asked me what you think changed, like how this vision board, when we were discussing it on Saturday, what changed, like what made you believe in your vision board and in yourself. And I think it was Connor. Honestly, even though we've been together, it'll be 6 years in March, and even though he has always, since our first date, has always been this person who believes that anything is possible. We both, basically from when we met, were in a place where we were wanting to set up businesses. well, he basically made me set up a business, something that I never thought was possible, and I didn't believe in myself enough, but I just let Connor push me into it, and I'm so glad I did let him do that. But we were both setting up businesses, and even though Connor believed so much and had like would speak about these dreams so openly and how much money he wanted to make, where he saw his business, I was like, oh my God, like, this guy really believes in himself, and like, he's got big dreams, and like, how does he think all that is possible? And is he not scared to say that out loud? Like, what if it doesn't happen? And it took me to see Connor achieve his goals, and it didn't happen overnight. Connor consistently worked 7 days a week, with making no money, struggling. It was really hard. Sometimes it seemed like the business was never going to take off. Sometimes it seemed like he was never going to get another client, or it just wasn't going where he wanted it to. And I won't get too into his personal journey because it's his personal journey, but last year something changed for him, and he basically started to achieve all of his goals. And it was month after month where he was setting goals and working to achieve them, and everything started to change, and everything he started to achieve, and the more he started to achieve, the more he believed, the bigger his dreams got. And sorry, that's my Brussels sprouts over there just steaming away and bubbling away. But it was in witnessing him achieve after a period or a few years of it not going as fast as he would have liked, but sticking with it, that made me realize that I literally couldn't go on the way I was going. I was so unhappy in my job and in my work, and I wasn't being honest with myself in general about what I wanted, but I definitely wasn't even allowing myself to dream of what it was that I actually really wanted from my life, from my work, what I believed I was capable of. But I just knew deep down that I was capable of so much more than what I was doing. And it basically took seeing Connor achieve to make me believe, or to even just push me into trying, because I thought, if I don't try, I'm going to be miserable, and I'm going to feel like I've failed anyway, because that's how I've felt for years now, that I'm failing because I'm not trying, and I'm not even giving myself the chance to discover how capable I am, or how capable I'm not maybe. And then the other option was to try over and over and over, and test and trial and fail until I achieved like Connor did. So I chose basically to do what Connor did, and just start and be honest with myself, and think of my biggest, scariest dream and go for it. So I basically, in December, this kind of kicked off pretty late this year, but it took me a while. I did my first vision board last July with Connor, and it was so embarrassingly materialistic, because I had no idea what I was doing, what I wanted out of my job, out of my career. So it was basically all of the end goal things that I wanted to be able to buy. But we all know that those kind of things don't matter. They don't motivate you to get up at 6 a.m. They don't motivate you when you've just lost another client to go out there and get another one, because they're just so materialistic and they're not important. They don't actually give you joy. So I didn't know what it was that was gonna give me motivation every day, that was going to challenge me and keep me inspired, use my creativity, use my skills, my talents. And basically it was later this year that I had slowly taken time to really figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And I'll do another catch-up maybe video on that later this year, because things are still very new and very fresh and I'm still learning. But basically in December I sent an email to Andrea Roach Agency, who work with content creators and social influencers, and basically I just emailed being like, I don't know if this is even something you do with micro influencers. I don't think you even take on people with 11,000 followers on Instagram. You probably need 50, but I'm just wondering, do you? Or I would like to apply, or anyway. So I got the ball rolling. I immediately heard back and they said they'd love to have a chat. So we had a chat, we talked about it, and it was, even in the discussion, I knew this is what I want to do. Like I knew this deep within me, talking about me doing this, starting my blog when I was 21, and basically just being too scared to follow through and to believe in myself. And the fact that I'm just so ready to believe in myself now. I'm not gonna waste another 10 years thinking small and not going for it. And it was in that discussion that I realized I am really ready to go for this and I really want this. And basically after the discussion, which was really nice, and I just felt like I was talking to my people. They understood, you know, that running a business, an online membership, is quite difficult to be creative, and it's all very technical and customer service based, that I need something else to keep me, to challenge me. I need something else to utilize my creativity, and this was it. So basically they took me on as a content creator, and I am now with Andrea Roach Agency, and I am so happy and inspired and just stoked to be creating content as part of my work now, because it really did it really has just changed my day-to-day life and my motivation level and my willingness to believe, because often it's just going out there and putting it out there seems like a really small step, but it can change your life completely. So yeah, again, to just kind of close off that point, and really that's the kind of last little bit of my catch up for now, is I know probably you guys are wondering what again shifted, how you were able to kind of reroute. How are you able to know, because this is the kind of thing I would have wanted to know, how do you know what path to take? How do you know what is going to light your fire? What is going to keep you motivated? What is the right direction to go in? And I think starting the vision board was a really pivotal moment for me in July, where I put down all of those, like a walk-in closet and a house and you know, just these really superficial materialistic things. And I was like, that's what I want to have, but like, what do I want my life to be filled with? And I realized that the online membership just wasn't featuring. I couldn't put it down. I was like, there was this mental block. And I will come back to the membership, and there are going to be changes coming to the membership that I'm super excited about, but that's for another day, another month. But that it wasn't that teaching yoga wasn't giving me happiness, but that the way that the online membership was working just wasn't obviously making me excited or motivated. And then I always felt like I was failing. I always felt like I wasn't giving my best self, which wasn't my fault. It was just that I was in the wrong place. So that just got that kind of clock ticking, where I started to think, okay, well, if I can't put that, if I'm not excited to put that down on my vision board, like, well then, like, what am I doing? Like, I should be wanting, okay, this is how many members I want by the end of the month. This is the kind of community I want to be able to create. These are the challenges I want to offer my clients. Like, those are the things that I should have wanted to write down, and I didn't. So that for me was like a eureka moment, where I was like, okay, I need to start thinking. And it was from there that I kind of just started to think, okay, well, like, what do I enjoy doing day to day? And I started a content day basically once a week, and I wasn't working for any brands. I basically love creating content, and I love clothes, and I love my clothes, and I shop a lot. So I started to incorporate that into my work week, even though it wasn't making me any money, and I loved it. By the end of the day, I would just be so pumped. I'd text Connor and just say, I just finished filming for the day. I'm exhausted, but I just feel so good. I loved every second of it, and I just feel like I'm really good at it, and that I have so much more to give, and I want to learn more and do more in this. And it was then that I realized, okay, this is something that I need to incorporate into my work life. And it began as a hobby, literally, because I just love creating content. And I suppose that's where you start. You start reassessing the things that really give you joy, the things that you kind of want to dream bigger around, that maybe you're scared to think. Like, it's taken me 10 years to get to 11,000 followers. Like, that is a long time, and especially in this age where everything is social media and everything is so fast, it's taken me that long. And instead of realizing that that was literally just because I wasn't dedicating consistent time to it, I let that be a signal to myself that I was never going to have more followers than that. I was never going to get lots of followers. And instead of that, I just started to realize, well, what if you take how many followers you have out of the equation, and you just focus on the kind of content, the kind of consistent content that you want to offer. And if you're proud of it, it will eventually pay off, whether that's in 1 million followers, 50,000 followers. I want to work with brands that I'm proud of. I want to work on projects that I'm proud of. That's what I want to do. Followers is not something you do. It's not like, I can't work, you know, alongside, well, you do work alongside 1 million followers, obviously, but like, that's not the structure of my day. That's not what gives me motivation or inspiration. It's the content, it's the brands, it's the creativity. And I think it was starting that vision board that was the moment for me that I realized I need to reassess. And if you are in one of those places, I think it's really good to I think visually words don't really work with me, but like, what pictures excite you to put on your vision board? And it might take months, it might take another year for you to realize, but start it now. Because for me, I wasted 10 years, and it wasn't wasted because I'm so glad everything I did in the meantime with the yoga studio, my retreats, all of that wouldn't have happened, and I am so proud of that. And like, the retreats are still like one of my favorite parts of my job, and I will never stop them. Everything happens for a reason. I absolutely believe in that. But in saying that, there is an element of regret for me that I didn't start sooner, that I wasn't consistent. I feel like I failed myself, and I don't want myself to feel like that in another 10 years, and I don't want you to. So yeah, start a vision board. And I have actually a video, which I will tag here, where I run through step by step how to do your vision board. Another little thing, when I was talking to the girl I'm working with in Andrea Roach, she was saying how amazing my content was and the quality and everything. And again, this is a lesson I want to share with you guys, that for so long I was like, I don't have the perfect home, I don't have the perfect backdrop. I live in Dublin, where it's mostly grey a lot of the time, and maybe I can't afford new clothes at the moment, so I have nothing really to share. You always have something to share, and there's always an audience for you, and you can do your best with what you have. I would say that that is another thing that I learned in the last few months, of doing that content weekly in the space that I have, with this like just a linen, like a cotton sheet from Dunnes Stores, and a tripod thing, a stand. I created content every week that people loved. And if you're doing your best with what you have, it's better than waiting for the perfect time, because there won't be a perfect time, and you'll just waste that valuable, precious time. And I think in getting married this year, I had a little bit of a kind of a come down stage after my wedding, where I got quite sensitive about death and like about the end of our lives, and that we were just starting our lives. And I was so happy that myself and Connor were together and married that I was almost afraid of it ending or something happening, or I just couldn't get out of this, like, oh my god, life is so short. I want it to be forever. I want to spend forever with Connor. And instead of focusing on that negatively, I allow that to be my reminder that life is short, and maybe it will never be perfect, and you waiting for the perfect time to start the life of your dreams or that next adventure or to change your life, it might one day be too late to change. So do it now and don't wait for the perfect time. Do the best with what you have, and be creative, be resourceful, and I promise you won't regret it. So that is the end of that tune, and basically that is my catch-up video. I have waffled on for probably over half an hour, which I'm gonna have to edit massively. I always end up talking so much. I don't know how I talk for so long. I don't know how these other YouTubers do like 10-minute videos. Let me know in the comments below if you think I need to cut my videos shorter, or do you enjoy the little bit of a waffle while you're doing your makeup or whatever. That is the end of our January or February 1st, 2022 catch up for now. I have a lot of things happening in the next few months, a lot of change. We are moving from our apartment next month, and a lot of you are asking if we're buying or what we're doing, so I'm going to be filling you in on all of that. I think that video will probably go live next week, and there's just so much happening in the next few months that I'm super excited to share with you. So yeah, stay tuned, stay along for the ride, subscribe, please like and share this video if you did enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks for watching, guys.